Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're doing a deep dive into a concept that really challenges how we think about AI.
Yeah, this idea of the AI empire.
Exactly. We've gathered some, well, pretty thought-provoking sources. The main one is an article by Jasmina, Tacheva and Srividya Ramasubramanian.
A really interesting piece.
Definitely. But we're also bringing in insights from, industry reports, expert opinions, that kind of thing.
To get a broader picture.
Right. So our mission today is to really get to grips with what this AI empire actually is. It's not just the tech itself, is it?
No, not at all. The idea is that AI is operating as this deeply embedded global system.
Influencing power, equality, opportunity, all of it.
Exactly. The real question becomes, what happens when AI isn't just a tool anymore, but it's actually a structure of power?
So the researchers.
Yeah.
They're saying this isn't like, the Roman Empire.
No, not defined by borders or a single nation. They see it as more of a networked global system.
Okay. And the key point is?
Well, the crucial insight they offer is that this system isn't necessarily creating brand new inequalities from scratch.
So it's taking what's already there.
Precisely. It's acting like a powerful new engine that takes these deep historical systems of oppression, things that have shaped the world for centuries.
And gives them a digital boost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Digitally amplifying them at a massive scale.
And they identify specific systems it's rooted in.
Yes, they argue it's rooted in 4 interlocking systems of oppression. The first one they point to is heteropatriarchy.
Yeah, heteropatriarchy. How does that connect to AI?
Well, they look at how AI can reflect and sort of reinforce traditional patriarchal or heteronormative biases.
Like how voice assistants often defaulted to female voices.
That's a classic example, yeah, reinforcing gendered stereotypes. Or you see it in how algorithms or even just the culture within tech companies can end up marginalizing women, queer individuals, non-binary people.
Sometimes unintentionally just baked into the system.
Often, yes. Embedded biases.
Okay. And the second system?
That would be racial capitalism and white supremacy.
Right. What's the link there?
This framework looks at how AI can perpetuate racial inequalities, often tied to economic systems that have, historically benefited white communities more.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about predictive policing algorithms. There's evidence they can disproportionately target communities of color.
So automating existing biases in law enforcement.
Essentially, yes. Or algorithms used in, say, lending or hiring that might inadvertently favor demographics that have historically held more power.
So it's less about the AI being intentionally racist and more about it learning from biased data.
Exactly. It inherits and then operationalizes the biases already present in the data it's trained on and the society it operates within.
Okay. What's the third system they highlight?
Modernity coloniality.
Modernity coloniality. How does that fit?
The argument here is that AI can actually extend colonial legacies.
How so?
Well, through things like extracting data and resources, often from regions in the global south, essentially mining the digital world for value, much like historical resource extraction.
Right. Digital extractivism.
Yes. And potentially imposing a kind of Western technological dominance where the norms, the values, even the code itself are dictated by a few powerful players, often from historically colonizing nations.
That really connects history to the present day, technologically.
Yeah.
Does this source give concrete examples of these biases in action?
Oh, absolutely. They point to real-world stuff, like studies showing facial recognition tools misidentifying people of color much more often than white individuals.
Wow.
Or hiring algorithms discovered to favor men over women for certain jobs, even when their qualifications were the same.
So these aren't just abstract concepts.
No, there are concrete ways AI systems are reflecting and actually embedding these societal inequalities.
Those are really stark examples. So if that's the foundation, amplifying existing inequalities, how does this AI empire actually work day to day? What are its sort of active processes?
The article outlines 5 key mechanisms for how this system operates. First up is extractivism.
Sounds a bit like mining.
It's similar but digital. It's the exploitation of data. The huge amounts of information we all generate.
But also labor.
Yes, data, labor, and sometimes even the natural resources needed to build and run AI systems. And this extraction often hits marginalized communities or regions hardest.
They provide the fuel, but don't always see the benefit.
Exactly. Think about the unseen labor like content moderators.
Often low-wage workers, maybe in the global south?
Precisely. That's a clear example. Okay, the second mechanism is automation.
This is where algorithms start making the decisions instead of people.
Right. And when that happens, they can embed those biases we talked about, but at scale. It's happening in loan approvals, criminal sentencing decisions, even screening job applications.
That's a really powerful way to spread bias quickly. What's next?
Third is essentialism. This is where the system reduces really complex, diverse human identities and experiences down to simplistic categories or data points.
Like putting people into neat little boxes.
Pretty much, yeah. Reducing individuals to labels that just don't capture who they are, which can lead to misrepresentation or exclusion.
Okay. And fourth?
Surveillance. Monitoring and controlling populations, often with a particular focus on groups that are already marginalized or targeted.
Things like biometric profiling.
That's a key tool, yes. And other forms of mass monitoring.
And the fifth mechanism?
Containment.
Containment. What does that involve?
As the source describes it, it's about excluding certain groups, either deliberately or just systemically.
Exclusion from digital spaces. Or physical ones, too.
Both, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Using technology to create barriers. The researchers use a very strong term here. They suggest it could lead to a form of technological apartheid.
Technological apartheid. Wow, that's a powerful phrase.
It is. And these mechanisms, they argue, working together, enable practices that actively make inequality worse.
Such as
targeted mass surveillance in minority neighborhoods, or the continued exploitation of that low-wage digital labor we mentioned, like content moderators.
ensuring the benefits flow up while the risks flow down.
That's the core argument. The benefits accrue upwards, while the costs and risks land on those already vulnerable.
Okay, so we have this framework. AI empire amplifying inequality through these specific mechanisms. Where are we seeing this most kind of vividly right now?
Well, generative AI models are definitely front and center. Things like ChatGPT, DALL-E.
The ones that are making headlines?
Exactly. While they're incredibly capable, they also have this potential to generate and spread biased or harmful content very quickly.
And they need huge amounts of data, right?
Yeah,
Which links back to extractivism.
precisely. Their reliance on vast data sets, often harvested through those extractivist practices, means they can really amplify the inequalities baked into the system.
And we're definitely seeing a global AI race.
Oh, absolutely. Between the big tech companies Google, Microsoft, Alibaba, and also between nations like the US and China. And the source points out this intense competition often prioritizes speed, profit, dominance.
Over ethics?
Often, yeah. When that's the main focus, ethical considerations, potential harm to marginalized groups, even environmental impacts can get pushed aside.
Okay, so that paints a picture of AI as a system that can deepen inequality.
Yeah.
But it's not all negative, right? AI has huge transformative potential too.
Not at all, no. It's crucial to remember the other side. AI is already reshaping practically every industry.
Manufacturing, finance,
Right.
marketing.
Automation in manufacturing, sophisticated data analysis in finance, hyper-personalization in marketing. It's driving real innovation.
And the economic forecasts are massive. I think the IMF.
Yeah, the IMF estimates AI could add something like $4.4 trillion to the global economy by 2030, mostly through productivity gains and new innovations.
That's staggering.
It really is, and we see concrete benefits already. In healthcare, AI is improving diagnostic accuracy. In education, it offers potential for tailored learning.
Even complex fields like space exploration.
Yep, optimizing mission planning, analyzing vast data sets, things humans would struggle with. The capacity for positive change is absolutely undeniable.
So we're dealing with this real duality. AI as this empire amplifying inequality, but also as a technology with incredible potential for good. What are the biggest challenges right now in trying to manage that?
Well, one of the most talked about is job displacement.
Right, that IMF estimate, again, impacting nearly 40% of global jobs.
Yeah, it's expected to automate some roles, especially repetitive ones, but also create new roles needing different skills.
The big worry is managing that transition, isn't it? Making sure people aren't left behind.
Exactly. Ensuring workers can adapt and that new opportunities are actually accessible. And then there are those ethical issues we keep coming back to.
Bias, privacy, surveillance.
Yeah.
There's still huge challenges.
They're fundamental to this whole AI empire concept, really. How do we ensure systems are fair? How do we protect privacy when so much data is being collected? How do we stop misuse for surveillance or control? These are critical hurdles.
And there's a social impact, too, beyond just jobs and bias. I remember seeing an Elon University report.
Ah, yes, the 2025 report, where a big majority of experts, what was it, 61%?
Yeah, 61%. They expected AI to cause deep and meaningful or even fundamental changes to human traits.
Like creativity and empathy by 2035.
That's That's a profound potential shift in what it even means to be human.
It really is. And these challenges together, they really hammer home why just letting AI development run wild isn't really an option, right?
Absolutely. It screams for careful thought, careful oversight.
Definitely.
So looking ahead, how do we balance this incredible promise against these really significant dangers? What do the possible futures look like?
Well, on the positive side, AI could drive that huge economic growth, that 14% increase in global GDP by 2030.
Creating new industries, new jobs.
Exactly. Jobs we might not even imagine yet. And it could genuinely enhance our own capabilities. AI assisting creativity, helping make complex decisions.
And attacking big global problems.
Potentially, yes. Helping mitigate climate change, maybe alleviating poverty through smarter resource allocation or something. The potential is there.
That sounds incredibly optimistic, but what if we don't manage the downsides? What's the flip side?
That's where the risks loom large. If it's unchecked, we could see significantly increased inequality.
The benefits just going to the people who own the tech.
Right. Concentrated benefits, widening wealth gaps globally, and marginalized communities could face even more exclusion through biased or inaccessible systems.
And the surveillance aspect, enhanced surveillance.
This is where those AI empire mechanisms could really ramp up. We could see a major erosion of privacy, much greater capacity for authoritarian control through pervasive monitoring.
Like expanding predictive policing globally.
That's one example the source raises, yeah. Linking back to those worries about racial bias and containment.
Which brings us back to that chilling phrase, technological apartheid.
Exactly. And there's also the risk of losing human agency.
How so?
If we become too reliant on AI for decisions, does it reduce our own autonomy? Does it diminish essential skills like critical thinking?
Those experts warning about the shift by 2035 seem concerned about that.
They do. That possibility of a dramatic shift in our cognitive abilities.
So, okay, potential utopia, potential dystopia. How do we steer towards the better outcome? What's absolutely essential?
Ethical AI development has to be right at the top. Organizations like the IE are proposing principles for this.
Like making AI accessible.
Yes, meaning it should be available and beneficial to everyone, not just a select few. And it needs to be transparent.
So we can understand how it makes decisions.
Exactly. Understandable, traceable decisions, especially in high-stakes areas. They also stress sustainability. Developed and used in ways that are ecologically responsible and socially beneficial for the long haul.
And auditable.
Right. Systems need to be subject to independent oversight.
Yeah.
And we need protections for whistleblowers who flag problems or unethical practices.
Trying to build systems that serve everyone, not just narrow interests.
That's the goal.
These principles sound like vital guardrails.
Yeah.
But what about pushing back against the negative aspects of the AI empire that the source describes? Is it just about rules from the top?
No, and this is where the Tacheva and Ramasubramanian article really emphasizes collective resistance.
Collective resistance.
They argue it's not just about top-down regulation, it needs a bottom-up approach, an intersectional approach involving diverse voices, diverse communities.
Can you give an example?
They point to a really powerful recent one, the 2023 unionization effort by African content moderators.
Ah, right. Challenging the exploitative labor conditions that power some of these big AI systems.
Exactly. It's a concrete example of marginalized workers directly pushing back against that extractivist mechanism, demanding fairer treatment. It shows resistance is possible and needed at every level.
So pulling all this together, this AI empire idea, it's more than just a catchy phrase. It's a lens, really.
It is a powerful lens to see AI not just as technology in isolation, but as a system deeply tangled up in global power structures and existing inequalities.
Ready to amplify them.
Poised to amplify them, yeah. And while AI's potential for economic growth, for human enhancement, for solving huge problems is immense.
It carries equally massive risks. Deepening division, ramping up surveillance, excluding people, if we aren't careful.
If we don't actively shape its development and deployment.
So the future of AI, it's not written yet. It really comes down to the choices we're making right now.
Absolutely. Choices about prioritizing ethics, making sure the public understands these complex systems, and actively supporting those efforts for collective resistance from the ground up.
It's definitely a complex picture, balancing this huge opportunity with these profound challenges. So here's something to think about. Considering this potential for both vast economic benefit and really deep societal inequality, what active role can you play? Beyond just staying informed, how can you help ensure the AI future reflects justice and equity for everyone?